Okay, let's call to order the June 20th meeting of the fire district. Could we have the pledge? Can we stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chris, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Aldrich?
Here.
Fox?
Yes.
Verplank?
Here.
Phelps?
Yes.
And Pullen.
Here.
And Beckman and Miller are absent with Miller.
We have an approval of the agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
Second.
All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Okay, would you all please silence your cell phones, and please do not text during the meeting. Could we have approval of the minutes for the May 15th meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 15th.
I'll support.
Madam Chair, can I make a little notation here?
Sure.
The approval of minutes agenda calls for May 15th, and it actually says May 16th.
It is May 16th.
This is May 15th.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is May
May
16th.
16th.
Okay.
Just a...
Sorry. I bad fingered that one apparently.
Should be May
Fixed.
15th?
16th.
Did we say May 15th?
That's the May 15th, it should be 16th.
Okay. I have a motion by Phelps. Did somebody second it? And a second by Eldridge. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Moving on, we are going to hold the public hearing now. Good afternoon. I would like to open the public hearing. We have to vote to open the public hearing. We do. Can we have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing at 4:03.
I have a motion by Pullen and a second by Fox to open the public hearing. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Pullen?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Verplank?
Yes.
And Phelps.
Yes.
Moving on. Good afternoon. I would like to open this public hearing on the 22-23 Fire Board budget. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Keeping in mind this is a public meeting. Please keep your comments respectful to yourself and others. Please direct your comments to the chair. I will begin the hearing with comments against the budget, then comments for the budget, and then general comments at the close of the meeting. Anybody have any comments against the budget? Once again, does anybody have any comments against the budget? Okay, comments for the budget? Any public comment for the budget? Any comments in general? I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I move.
Go ahead, Stacy.
I move to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second, I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Aldrich and a second by Phelps to close the public hearing. Okay, moving on to...
You want that? Madam Chair, I believe that's a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Aldrich?
Yes.
Phelps?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Verplank?
Yeah.
And Pullen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We'll take public comment on agenda items only. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anybody that would like to comment on the agenda? Okay, moving on. We have requests for payments. We have budget amendment 2. Peter?
Okay, this is the final and the second budget adjustment for fiscal year ending here in another 10 days of 22. So the top right-hand columns, we've got some increased revenues from short-term rental and plan review fees, some increased cost recovery revenues, and also an increase in interest revenues. And then when you see the ones that are with the parenthesis bracket, that's a decrease in expenses, basically right down the line, a decrease in chief's salary, an increase in the paid-on-call stipend, decrease in fire calls, an increase in medical, an increase in training, increase in retirement, and gas and oil, hopefully, who knows the price of gas. An increase in vehicle and equipment maintenance, building and repair maintenance increase, education increase, and then the next, 5, community risk reduction, testing, repair, replacement, operating supplies, physical, and long-term capital is a decrease. And then the last three on the bottom, we have to wrap these into they're in a separate fund. That's the live fire training that we really never, I just make this once-a-year adjustment, so that's an increase. We've got $6,000 in grant/donations this year for revenue for the, and then we also had the, 7 members. They gave their annual stipend fee a year ago, so there was $7,125 in revenue, and then I just booked a line item of expense. We didn't spend $13,000, but we just made a line item or appropriation for that, so we just got to clean that up because it's still wrapped up in our audit when they have that one. So that's the second and the final budget adjustment for the current fiscal year that we're in. I don't know, and then if you look 2 more pages back, the revenue and expense side, that includes that budget adjustment that you'll approve here shortly. You can just see, overall, we collected all the revenues that we brought, and then the expenses. What was appropriated, it says we spent 87%, so right now, if you go to, from the second column from the left, that's the year-to-date right now, it says that we're going to basically get into the fund balance by $20,000, but it's going to be a little bit more than that. We still have 2 more payroll. We have the paid-on-call payroll for the month of June, and then a payroll and a half for all the full-time career people. So I don't know, hopefully, I don't know what other expenses we have in the last 10 days. So we're still going to get into it, but we had that $200-some-thousand expense to pay for the chassis of the new truck that's sitting out front. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on the budget adjustment or the current fiscal state of affairs.
Any discussion? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the budget amendment.
Make a motion to approve the budget adjustment ending year number 2.
We have a motion by Phelps and a second by Fox to approve the budget adjustment. Is there any discussion? Okay, so we have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, ma'am. Phelps?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Underplank?
Yes.
And Fuller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have the accounts payable. Could I have a motion to approve the accounts payable?
I make a motion to approve the accounts payable of $116,246.36.
I'll support.
Okay, I have a motion by Phelps and supported by Aldrich to approve the accounts payable. Is there any discussion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Underplank?
Yes.
And Fuller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have a financial report by
I kind of just went over it when I did the budget adjustment, so I don't know if anybody has any particular line items. Overall, we're in decent shape. I mean, we're going to get into our fund balance somewhat this year, but we paid for a big ticketed item that's sitting in the front parking lot. Well, a third of it. We still have the other 2/3 to pay after July 1st.
Okay. Any questions about the financial report?
The other thing to remember too, I think the biggest overage in there is that $26,000 engine repair to 2112 that we did not plan for too.
So that would be just about the whole...
Exactly, the overage, yeah.
Overage of our budget.
Chief, how bad are the fuel bills?
Just about like their own individuals, it's doubled. I mean, what we were a year ago this time. I mean, I think before we used to track about $1,000 a month, now it's $2,000 a month, so about double from a year ago.
So overall, Peter, how are we doing?
Well, we're good,
Good.
good standing.
What I was gathering, but it's, sometimes just give me a couple words, we'll be fine.
Okay, we're in good,
Good,
good
thank
shape.
you.
Okay, time for the fire chief's comment.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. You can see in our May incident reporting, call volume is about a 7% increase. That's what I think most of the board members like to report their municipalities. Definitely a significant increase. Response times still are just over about 5 minutes, which I think is just tremendous for a part paid-on-call fire department. Typical time of the day of calls, the majority of our calls are during the day, and that's where we're always struggling with staffing issues. That's why we have addressed that to the capacity that we could with daytime staffing in the form of full-time people. Overlapping calls is really up, meaning overlapping call is a call that gets dispatched within an hour of another one. So you have a call, resources there, then for the benefit of our new audience, we have then another call or a third call. Really stretches administration with personnel and trucks and vehicles and equipment, so to speak. Types of calls are always the most common, being EMS. Our astute IT director, Eric, does the most profound job, in my opinion, in Michigan on this. And he could tell you the number one call that we experience are falls, and that has not changed for months. So, pretty much everything else, MVIs, motor vehicle incidents, are down. I think we all know the answer why. Fuel. So, yes.
We had one call that was 4 minutes apart over the weekend, or 2 calls that were 4 minutes apart, so this really stretches our personnel.
Is going to go where? Right. So if there's no other questions on that, I'll move forward. One of the best parts of this job, in my opinion, is the community risk reduction issue and addressing it. Number one, the Douglas Elementary School. I personally have been going there 21 years with a program I inherited from Tony Shippa. And one of the reasons I took the job was because of the elementary school program. And Chris, I'd like you composed this just to give you an idea of what the fire prevention staff has done. Chris, could you provide the summary?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing to note that's in bold in the middle of the page is when we started the year, meanwhile too, we started the year late. Normally we would start this fire prevention in October, but because of COVID restrictions at the schools, we were gearing up to do Zoom lessons, and then come January, they allowed us back into the school. So we were able to get into the school in person and start our lessons in January. So we were roughly 3 months late. Only 49% of the students at Douglas Elementary knew their address come January. And then by the end of May, when we finished our last lesson, 91% of them knew it. So that's a 46% increase in the students' knowledge of their home address in 5 short months, which is pretty cool.
You're selling yourself short. I think that's an 86% increase.
He taught me how to do percentage of increase, so maybe I did something wrong, I don't know.
Yeah.
And Bernie, yeah, I don't know, maybe it is wrong.
I mean,
I'll believe it.
That's an amazing improvement.
Yeah,
Either way,
it's
it's an amazing improvement.
Right.
86 is crazy.
And so in the end, we celebrated with an ice cream social, which you can see in the coming pictures here. And so as the kids came out to the ice cream social, they had to tell either Chief Kent or Officer Tino their address, and then they got to come through the line and get their ice cream. So it was a great reward for them for all the hard work they put into it, along with their teachers, and we certainly would not be successful with this program without the partnership of both Douglas Police and all of the teachers at the school, that they work hard in the time that we're not there to help teach the kids. We provide them the tools and some cards to help the kids learn their addresses and stuff, but they do a lot of the work on the in-between weeks that we're not there as well. So it's cool, a really cool program, and it's awesome to see how it has grown and how well they've done in that 5-month period. So
Does this include kindergartners?
Yes, and even pre-K as well. So that's,
Wow.
yeah, that's,
Pre-K as well,
or it's actually called
addresses?
TK now, the
Wow.
transitional kindergarten, but yes.
Chris,
That's-
may I?
Yeah, go for it, jump in.
So, when you call 911, the first thing they're going to ask is, what is your address? It's not what your problem is, who you are, it's what is your address?
Right.
Yep.
That's a big factor, particularly with children that know how to use smartphones now. The problem is, well, 3-, 4-year-olds call, and we run into this, where are you? And they don't know. So we started this probably 9 years ago with, number one, let's provide address signs that this board approved. Number two, let's teach children to know their address. That was also, taken in a parallel note, that was also a criteria for short-term rentals. How many short-term rentals do we have? 770 that are registered. One of the criteria was the address has to be posted, because they don't have hard lines. So when they call and say, hey, I think my husband's having a heart attack, they can at least have somewhere by the phone that says, this is where I'm at. Take it further with the kids, and it really, this is how effective the program is. And while we made a mistake on the percentage increase, I'll own up to that.
No, that was all.
It does, yeah, the thing is, it's measurable, it's effective. And when you go to the school twice a month, and then you wrap that into the teachers helping you achieve that, and then parents when they can, it's an effective program that has been probably one of the most important things we teach them. It's not stop, drop, and roll, because how many times your kids' clothes catch on fire. Know where you're at, know what to do when the smoke alarm goes off, and know you may not be able to get down the stairs. So there's a whole curriculum that we develop that we share with them. Bicycle safety, don't go on the ice, those sort of things.
Well, I think the fact that it's pre-K is learning their address is wonderful.
Mhm.
I think
Yes.
that's gotta be a little bit of hard work, I would think. To keep their attention, number one.
Well, don't you have to teach them, don't they teach them their parents' names as well? Because it may not be the
Yes.
same as your name, so.
Not mom and dad, yes.
Names, phone numbers, sometimes we get into that, so.
And some of these kids too, they have multiple homes where they live with mom one night and dad the next night. So there's plenty of these kids, I couldn't tell you a percentage of that truthfully, but there's plenty of them that are learning more than one address and able to tell you both as well
yeah.
too, which is even more rewarding to see that they know it all for both locations. So
Yeah.
it's a cool program, and we're blessed to be able to be participate in the schools, which is more than some other fire departments can say.
When we were on to meet in the school, I think our first ice cream social involved the state fire marshal.
Yep.
And we did it in the school, it was really, really fun. Thanks, Chris Bernhardi, although you're not here. Next up, Department of Fire Prevention, you can see in your packet, on the screen, too. The volume of short-term rentals in May was pretty extraordinary at 62. The rest of it's self-explanatory as far as re-inspections on short-term rentals, business and life safety surveys. None of this is meant to be punitive. It's to go through a building like a mercantile or an assembly and say, hey, you need to upgrade your extinguishers or have them serviced, your hood system's due, things like that. Your exit, let's get this exit opened up. It's really more of an educational opportunity. Construction testing, inspections is always significant, and plan review hours, all that stuff just combines, but it takes out almost 2 people out of our operational aspect because that's all they're doing.
Are B&Bs under short-term rentals?
They
No.
fall under annuals
Oh,
for business and life safety surveys.
okay.
And you're due.
No, I'm
She's
not.
done.
I passed with flying colors.
All right. Next up is the Michigan Fire Inspector Society fatal statistics. You can see, unfortunately, a 13% increase in deaths and 8% increase in fires. And interesting enough for our new audience, the number one location is not the bedroom, not the kitchen, it's the living room. So, I think that's significant. And you can see Dudley's time of the day is 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And for some reason, males are the ones that are most vulnerable. Oh no. Fire causes, number one, smoking. In this day and age, there are still people smoking.
Surprised that's number one.
So, that concludes that part of it. On statistics, I am really happy to share with the board that our grant team of Chris Manos, Chris Bernhardy, and myself have written a training recruitment grant. The chief author was Chris Bernhardy. And this was a recruitment training grant, again, for the live fire training center, because we found live fire training promotes attention. It attracts people into the fire service, and that amount of that grant is $58,000.
Where is that? Where do you do the training?
The facilities in the back.
Oh, okay.
I think it's on the cover of the budget too.
If there's no questions on that, I'll move forward. We are sad to say John Meliskowitz has resigned his position as a full-time firefighter. John has been trying to find a home in our area, I don't know, guys, 6, 7 years?
Yep.
And I remember when John came to me, I actually recruited John from his job. He was a paid-on-call before I even got here, 2012. And he was working in a sign shop, and I approached him about being the fire clerk and a full-time employee. And I remember when John came to me, he says, "Chief, I got pre-approved for a home loan to buy a house." Great, you know, what price range should we look at? It was $120,000.
That was 10 years ago, maybe.
So, he became full-time in 2015. Has been looking for a home ever since. Gave up, found a home on the north side of Holland, and decided to move there. And consequently, he applied at Holland Fire and made the grade, made the cut, and they offered him a position. So his last day is July 11th. So, sadness, we'll be posting another position to replace John.
But good for John.
Yeah.
So, moving
It's
on.
not that far away to commute, is it?
It's 20 minutes, and it...
We wanna try to talk him into, or no, he's made his decision?
I think he might find, he might come back. I don't know. We have to get him, let him give him a chance to get his house in order and
Okay.
adjust and become board in Holland Fire. Sorry, Captain City. And then he'll come and work with us, a real fire department.
Wow.
Kidding. All right, want to make a recommendation to the board, and I can't take credit for this. Many people have come to me about this. The Memorial Day, don't care for the term parade. This is a ceremony, Memorial Day. And I think what the board should consider, since there was a problem with the not getting the application in time, there was some real problems with the event.
Only part of the event, the Douglas part was fine.
You're right.
That being said, the idea came from the police chief in Douglas. He said, this should be an annual event, it should be sponsored by the city, should not be up to an applicant to apply for it, and that kind of resonated with some of us. So my suggestion is for your consideration. This is such a significant event in my view, and that's my opinion, that this fire board may want to consider doing an annual application for that, and do whatever it takes to make sure it gets done in a timely fashion, and gets approval and follows the process that Saugus City requires.
So I think this is a good idea for a board to sponsor or help sponsor the parade. The VFW will always sponsor the parade, but I think we can be of assistance to them, and I never want to happen what happened a month ago. So I think we should volunteer to be the second guy to call if parade arrangements have to be
Yeah.
made.
I don't think it hurts for us to help, but I don't know that we should be the ones actually running the situation.
the other reason to have it be a community sort of sponsorship as opposed to a club sponsorship is those guys are getting up in years and they're plainly challenged for membership. I mean, arguably that's part of what went wrong this year. Somebody told somebody and somebody didn't do something and one thing happened another. The continuity that would be there from having the fire district do it or sponsor it or whatever the term is, introduce it, file for it, I think is to our credit. I mean, that should be an offer to Douglas as well and to the township. I don't know if you guys do it.
Chief Kent filed the application in Douglas. And.
So that's already in effect, sort of.
Right. So, something for you to consider.
Do we have to vote or agree, or do we have to ask the city?
I didn't
or-
request a vote.
I mean, do we have to ask the city if they would allow us to
I
do
think
that?
more importantly, it's not as a city, I mean, the application either complies or it doesn't.
Okay.
In my opinion, you'll reach out to the American Legion Hall and area,
Okay, cool.
and they did a consensus vote and supported, if this board decided to support it and submit an annual application, they are in favor.
Great.
Did fire department assist Douglas at all? Did you
We were
assist
there.
Douglas at all?
We participated, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know.
What we did, what happened was, frankly, for the public, I had a day and a half, my day off, and Saturday was trying to figure out what to do with this, because there were people very upset about it. I actually got challenged
Yeah, I know.
on the street across from City Hall.
I know.
And I had nothing to do with it. But they have a process, they failed to comply with the process. The thing of it is, what was the stipulation? Well, safety. So I called Lieutenant Insfield and said, what do you want to do? And he said, I can provide some vehicles, and I could provide some vehicles. And we were able to block, I arranged, and we were able to block every intersection.
You're talking about Saugatuck now?
Yes.
Okay, but did you assist Douglas at all?
Yes.
We didn't have to assist with blocking.
Oh, okay, that's what, that's kind of what I meant.
We participated. Douglas had barricades out,
Yeah,
various kinds, concrete, trucks, dump trucks, a payloader.
you name it, we had it.
Right, so they just said, oh, just go to parade.
Okay.
You know, but, so the city didn't have a chance to even get anything together, because the application wasn't done in time. Because it's always done every year, the applicant felt, are you kidding me? And
Oh.
thought, I didn't have anything to do with
I see.
not allowing
You thought it
it.
would be an ongoing thing, okay.
So I provided solutions.
Okay.
It didn't cost anybody anything. And that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, got it.
And that's what I did.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, we have no unfinished business. Moving on to new business, the fire district budget approval.
Okay, where did that go?
My feeling that the fire district should go ahead and approve the budget, and then let the chips, I don't know what to do after that.
Okay.
I have a suggestion for the board's consideration. What I would suggest you do is you approve the budget, and then this board appoints a subcommittee, non-quorum, to meet with the staff and lawyers to figure out the course of action.
Figure out what?
Arrange a subcommittee that's a non-quorum.
Uh-huh, yeah.
That subcommittee meets with staff of the fire department and the lawyers, determine what we're gonna do. Obviously, some services are gonna have to get cut. What gets cut? Because non-approval by them, what are the ramifications, implications on this whole thing? So, we would make recommendations and then probably have a special meeting with the fire board members
Okay.
on what to do.
Well,
That's just one alternative.
I'm unclear as to whether approval per se from the three jurisdictions is required for us to have an enacted budget with no service cuts or any of the kind next year. That to me is, I'm unclear on that. I think that's the case, as I read briefly what's there. The word approval
I know.
is
Correct,
not
it's
there.
It's not in the Public Act, correct.
So, I think you're right, Greg. I think we need to appoint a small committee to meet with the attorneys and discuss what next steps are. I think we should go ahead and approve the budget.
That's what I would
And then
recommend you do.
3 of us meet with the attorneys. I would be glad to be one of them. I need 2 other people to meet with the attorneys, and we'll see what happens. We'll meet with the city attorney in hours.
Is their next board meeting before the deadline though, right? I mean, would you want to wait till, see what happens in Saugatuck? Is it June 27th or something?
We
Yeah,
did
they-
today.
Yeah, they have a board meeting a week from
I
today.
Or
think
do you
that's
have
a
to
great, I think that's a great, the last thing I want to do is spend money on an attorney over this,
Yeah.
but if we have to, we will.
That said, though, I think we ought to know the answer to this regardless, whether Saugatuck elects to not pursue it or to pursue it for futures. We need to know what
Yeah.
we're facing at the end of each year conceivably. You know, from any of the 3 jurisdictions or what have you. So I'd like to, I mean, I'd be willing to have us spend district money to have the attorney tell us the answer to that question. Do we, if we submit the budgets to the 3 jurisdictions for review, each of the jurisdictions reviews those budgets, and we then pass the budget,
What happens?
is that an enacted budget?
Yeah.
Or is it a 2/3 enacted budget and get ready for, I mean, I don't like to hear service cuts if we don't know for sure we're gonna be making service cuts.
I think
Scott
we
Sullivan
should,
put them in a frickin' headline.
I think we should meet with the attorneys and see what the end result is gonna be. I think we need to get this done. We have 10 days before we need a budget, so.
Do we want to set up our committee and
Yeah.
then see what Saugatuck does, and then if they don't approve it, then talk to the lawyer, or do you want to talk before?
I think I would just as soon talk before, Greg. I think this is important to get this sorted out.
Whatever the board would like to do.
I think it's important to get it sorted out. So,
For sure, I would not like to be in this situation.
again,
I'm kind of with Dan. I want to see the
Want this
ultimate, like,
done.
yeah.
well, Stacy, you want to be on that committee?
Sure, I'll be on it.
Okay, Scott or Dan?
I would, except it ends up with 2 Saugatuck people.
You don't want to do that.
Okay,
I don't
so
think
how
that's
about
a good
Scott?
answer.
All right, we'll have Scott, Stacy, and me on that committee. Okay, first we have to vote to approve the budget. I'll take a motion to approve the budget.
I'll make that motion to approve the budget for the Saugatuck Township Fire District for fiscal 22-23. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Fox and a second by Phelps. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Fox,
Yes.
Phelps,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yeah.
and Fuller.
Yes.
Okay. Then we're moving to approve a 3-member committee to meet with the attorneys to sort out the details. I'll move that we have a 3-member, committee to meet with the attorneys, Aldrich, Phelps, and myself.
I'll support.
So we have a motion by Plank, support by Aldrich. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yep. Okay, so motion by Verplank, second by, who's second on that?
Aldrich.
Aldrich, sorry. Thank you, guys. To have a 3-member committee of Aldrich, Phelps, and LeBlanc, and Fire District staff to meet with the attorneys. Okay, so for LeBlanc,
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Phelps.
Yes.
And Fuller.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. EMS transport survey.
I am going to refer to Chris, if you could please provide
Sure.
a
So
description.
I kind of outlined it in the letter, I don't know if you got to read it in your packet, but as part of my School of Staff and Command at Eastern Michigan University, I'm doing a research project, and it's actually pretty cool, a lot of it, which I'll gladly present that later in hopefully October when I finish the class. But a lot of cool data, both from ambulance response times, have to put together a whole package of, a staffing model, costs to that staffing model, cost of buying equipment, et cetera. So there's a lot of different layers to this that I'll be able to present out in October. But this particular one, because it's going out to the community, I wanted the fire board's approval. I have also been working with Tony Schippa from the ambulance committee, or the Pennsylvania Ambulance Committee, who sits on that as a township rep, to get some input on this as well. But basically, it's when done, I presented in a Word document here in the packet. So it's 16 questions. It would likely take about 5 to 10 minutes for people to complete, but just trying to get a little bit of a direction from the public on what they even know about the EMS transport or the ambulance service in the community, and then what they're willing to go for if we were to do something different. And so one potential avenue we're exploring would be to add 2 BLS transport ambulances here, which we've talked about over the years with the board, and I think we had even talked about doing the survey a couple of years ago, and then COVID started and it just kind of fell to the wayside. So this class is actually a perfect opportunity to be able to use it in 2 avenues, that I can not only get credit for my class, but I can also do something good for the fire district and the citizens at the same time. So that was kind of roughly it, and I can gladly read through all the questions if you'd like, or if you haven't already, or touch on them one by one, whatever you prefer.
Chris, please share with us the second paragraph on page 32 of 35.
So,
The
okay.
quote you got from Life EMS.
Yeah, so I did reach out to John Pinkster, who's the Director of South Operations for Life EMS, and I asked, I said, hey, what would it cost if we were just gonna hire you to put 1 truck in our station, or 1 truck in Saugatuck Fire District to cover calls kind of like you do in Fenville? And he said it would, right now, he said I would estimate at least $750,000, and probably north of that. He said with the climbing costs, he said that's probably a low number, and that did not include a place to store the ambulance or living quarters. So and that would be, I guess that would be if the fire district gave them a space here for free, then the $750 would be it. But that would mean we're gonna have to kick people out and find we don't have sleeping quarters to put 2 more people in. So we'd have to figure something out with that, and then probably a cost associated with it, and/or they'd have to find another barn of their own to respond out of. And I know they're interested in another avenue that's being explored as well too, that's more on Tony's side, is working with potentially Heath Township and Hamilton Fire to put an ambulance between the 2 of us. But that would still be that same $750,000 cost for 1 ambulance and not 2. So everybody I've talked to so far, for the most part, and a lot of the people in my class are from the eastern side of the state. All of those departments have transitioned to fire-based EMS transport because you can't rely on the private vendors to do it for you. And the job security and the benefits packages are in the government-run fire-based EMS, and they're not through AMR. Nothing wrong with Life EMS or AMR that I'm saying they do anything wrong, but it's just that people would rather work for a more secure agency like ours than they would for them. And so I think I'm guessing the end of my survey whole research paper results will show that is probably the case, or at least in what I've researched so far on different articles and interviewing different people from other departments on the east side of the state. But it's just one avenue to explore. We can always explore something different too. But just trying to do something that, in my mind, a 52-minute response time is unacceptable from AMR. And the biggest problem with that is our crews are tied up on that scene, waiting 52 minutes for an ambulance before we can leave and go to that second overlapping call. And with, I think this weekend we had 3 overlapping calls within an hour. So now that's 3 crews that are tied up waiting potentially 52 minutes for an ambulance, depending on the acuity level of the call. So whereas if we had that ambulance in-house here, we could be on scene for 5 to 10 minutes, load the patient and go on many of these calls, and either one of 2 things. If it's an ALS call, we would intercept an ALS truck on their way from Holland somewhere, and AMR could still take over the call. Or if it's a BLS call, we would transport straight to the hospital, and then return back to our area in about that same 52-minute time frame that we're waiting for an ambulance. So it's better for the patient, in my mind, and so I'm getting a little off track and ahead of myself, that right now, all I'm looking for is just to see what the people even know of the community here, and in talking with Tony and others, I would venture to guess most people have no idea how long
Sure.
the current response times are, and a lot of people don't even know how we even respond. Many people don't even understand that we only run first response, and that we don't run an ambulance out of this fire station, and that they're waiting for that ambulance to come down from Holland or to come over from Fenville. And so just educating them on that first is going to be a good portion of what this survey, I think, will hopefully do, and then get some input from them on where to go from there beyond. So,
Chris, can I add to this?
yeah, jump in.
So one of the big concerns I have is the ALS system, Advanced Life Support, is taxed, it's overtaxed. Why do we send Advanced Life Support when they're Spartan to priority 3s and some 2s when we could handle it?
Yeah, that too.
So there's an automatic trigger to send ALS on lift assist. And I do not believe that's in U.S. taxpayers' best interest. And I think we have a way to reduce the burden on the taxpayers and hopefully save them money. And it's not just taxpayers or citizens. We have citizens here who don't pay taxes. So we forget them? Heck no.
No.
So the thing is, I don't think people understand, they call an ambulance, 911 must dispatch that ALS system, Advanced Life Support. So you send them all over, and then when you need them, they're wasting their time on whatever it is, yeah.
A stub toe or a twisted ankle or things of that nature. I have actually spoken with Dr. Massenbrook, the county medical director for EMS anyway, and he is very supportive of this idea because it helps relieve the burden on the EMS system, that by us taking over these BLS calls, it's not tying up that call coming down, that truck coming down from Holland for that twisted ankle. They can stay there and take the heart attack or take the stroke call, and that heart attack or stroke call could still very well be in our area, but then that truck's available for the higher level of care, and we're taking care of the lower level of calls ourselves and freeing up the system, since we're there anyway, and it should overall help the system in general. But
So we're paying for ALS through our taxes, correct?
no.
No.
Well, if you're a southern Saugatuck Township resident, you do pay a stipend for that ambulance that sits in Fenville. Currently, Saugatuck City pays 0, Douglas City pays 0, and the northern half of Saugatuck Township also pays nothing.
Okay, so we don't
And
pay anything.
there's no contract for that ambulance from AMR either that comes out of Holland either. So there's nothing to say they couldn't pick up tomorrow and say, bye, we're leaving, and then we have no ambulance too. So
I'll just interject one important comment. When AMR could not come to terms with an agreement with Saugatuck Township, the director of AMR approached me and said, we have nowhere to go, can we position the stage and ambulance at your station? And I said, well, we'll try to find room, we'll boot some things outside. Well, then the problem was, I had to accommodate staffing, sleeping here all the time. So I go, I don't know how I'm gonna do that, other than, we started putting beds in the training room.
Oh.
As it turned out, we didn't have to do that, but it was a real possibility. And finally, with new administration in township, they worked out an agreement, and it went majestically.
Okay, let's say we get as far as to want to do this. When would it be on, what election would it be on?
Can I So essentially, my plan would be that I finish this research project come October, and be able to, and part of my research project is a full PowerPoint presentation for 15 minutes, et cetera. So then I bring that back to the fire board, pending how the fire board feels about it. I would like to then take it to the 3 minutes councils and township board so they all hear it themselves as well. And then ideally, July 1st of '23 would be a good target goal to implement this.
July or August.
And right now, if we were to do that, we can't even buy it. You're close to 3 to 4 years out to even buy an ambulance right now. That we'd have to buy something used to get through for a couple of years. That they, even just buying a chassis, they're telling you either somewhere between 2024 and 26 before you'll see it. And then that's not even including building the ambulance. Just the supply chain is so horrible right now. But that's not a problem. We can get through the equipment and find some used equipment that would be more cost effective to kick it off anyway, and then budget for that newer truck and place an order when the time comes. But yeah, my goal, it doesn't actually even have to technically go for a vote of the people, and that's where this survey comes in to get their input now, and we can gladly do more surveys along the way, that the fire board can raise the millage, and maybe with the council's approval, maybe not, depending on how this legal meeting goes, I don't know. But from my understanding, the fire board can levy up to 10 mills without a vote of the people, and then at 10, we'd have to go back to a vote of the people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't want to chop all our heads off and do something that people don't want and raise their taxes either. So we want to make sure that we're providing the level of service the taxpayers want and what they're willing to pay for as well.
Thus the survey.
Thus the survey, yes.
Chris?
Do you want our copies of the survey?
Come again?
Do you want our copies of it, or do you want us to do a real one?
You would do, so when it's done, I'm going to do this in a Google survey, and then we'll send out a link via like our website, Facebook, and then have the 3 municipalities send it out on our behalf as well. And the biggest reason is it tracks all the data for you, and you pretty much have to do nothing to get it out of it.
Question on this survey. I think this is a great idea. I mean, this is the kind of stuff we talked about in this room more than once, so it's nice to see the ball really move forward with numbers conceivably that could be really helpful in trying to figure out what we're doing. Having been involved in a fair number of market surveys of one kind or another, I worry only about the execution of this. There are terms in here like basic life support, even the terms American Medical Response. I mean, people think ambulances are the ones with the square bodies and the red light on top. That's it.
Right.
They don't know there's contracted services. They don't care really just until something goes wrong. So, to me, one of the challenges here, in terms of getting good quality information out of them, is them understanding what's being asked. So, for example, the 12 or 13 question, were you aware of how long it can take, and so on and so forth, times from AMR. Now, when they hear from AMR, does that mean from an ambulance? I mean, it's almost like, forgive the expression, but you have to dull it down, drop it down a level so that they are absolutely certain that the information we got came out of the right part of their head. Thanks, Dan. So, there are people around here who are better at this by far than I am, but I'm just suggesting maybe it would make sense, even to get 4 or 5 civilians together, give this to them, you give this to them one-on-one, and let them, put them in 4 separate rooms or whatever, let them ask you the question, wait a minute, I don't understand. Wait a minute, I don't understand. Because the less I can't understand stuff, the better. I mean, ideally 0. So.
Yep.
But in terms of the information being sought and the importance to the district, I think it's hugely important. So I applaud this. Good.
Oh, I think that's a great idea to just pull a couple of smaller people, or actually even grab a few people from church or wherever.
Sure.
Walk down the street downtown and ask somebody, hey, can you fill
Every
this out?
time I hear basic life support, I have to rewind the reel and go, now what they mean by that is not the same as what they mean,
You could simply have a legend this is what it is, we could,
There's
you're
something-
right, Dan, we need to make
Well,
sure
explain that whole contract.
the level of service is
That-
understandable.
That advanced thing, that these are two different levels
Yep.
of service and how they're dispatched and whatever.
Right, you use these terms every day,
Yeah.
Right.
but,
Yeah,
People on
somebody
the
out
street
there
don't know what the terms are.
I'm sure people don't have a clue what ambulance service is. Do you
Oh.
get charged for it? Do you get, I mean,
I'll bet a lot of people think there's an ambulance in this building.
Oh, they do, yep.
Oh, I'm sure they do, yeah. No
Or
doubt.
two.
yeah. Okay, so thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Yes,
Great
thank you
job,
for-
Chris.
Yes,
Thank you, Chris.
It's a lot of work, that's good.
So moving on, engine 2110 is downstairs.
Madam Chair, would,
Is that out there?
is that approval to move forward pending
Oh.
reviewing it with a couple of members of the public then, or?
With the survey, Chris would like to know.
I guess I'd like a, I mean,
Can he distribute the survey if he refines this to make it more understandable? Because you're running out of time.
yeah, I have to have this done by the end of, or my next draft of paper has to be done by the end of July. And to get, so that, I want to get the survey out, so they have it until like July 15th to respond, which means I run into the fire boards, and I wait till the next fire board meeting, I don't have enough time to do it.
Okay, well,
Oh,
why don't
okay.
you dumb it down and get back, maybe run it through a couple board members, Dan,
Okay.
and then, do we don't really need to make a motion to move ahead with this, do we?
No, yeah, if you guys are okay with that, I just wanted you all to see it and knew what was coming before you
Okay,
heard about it
yeah, that's
from
fine.
somebody else. So if you don't need to make a motion, I'm fine with that too, so.
Okay, yeah, I don't
You
think
don't
we
need to make a motion? Okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't know that it was required, I just wanted you to know about it.
I'm
before that
fine
was-
with it.
Good deal, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item D, United States Coast Guard has closed their Holland.
Madam Chair, can I go back to C?
Yes.
The new engine is outside, it's actually a fire rescue truck. There are photos of it, it's right out in front of the building. All trucks look the same. This is the new truck that we have. This is a licensed medical vehicle as well. Remember I talked about calls on top of one another? So if all the EMS vehicles are tied up, obviously this is medical, particularly on a fire scene. The number one blunt thing for firefighters is heart attack. So fully equipped medical truck, I want to point that out. So you're looking at it, it's built in South Haven. It's taken 2 years, and there it is. We train on it, the officers train on it tomorrow evening.
You got it stacked up?
No, matter of fact, it'll be another month before we can mount everything on there, so. You had to point that out, Scott.
Why have it sitting out front if we can't use it?
Does it look
Took
pretty?
2 years and a lot of money and a little bit more, so, okay.
Do they all have that arrow come up, or is this
No.
a new feature with this one?
The arrow board?
Yeah.
So, no, they don't. Matter of fact, they've never built a truck with an arrow
Oh,
on it.
really? I noticed.
So we spec'd out the truck since we do so many calls on the highway. The arrow is a directional tool that shows them go left or right or, hey, slow down. Because you can't see the little arrows that are on there when you're doing 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So we found these to be very effective. You can see it in its laid down position. That truck also has a light tower on it as well, and I think they've got that up outside. But they had some challenges with engineering the arrow board, and we said it's got to go on there, so,
How's it do for the hose way on top? You get enough hose on it?
Oh, yeah.
no problem. It challenged the engineers and designers.
Good.
And they met it all. It went down to a trade show, the biggest trade show this side of the nation, Indianapolis, and it was on display there. That's where you see those photos on the bottom at Indianapolis Fire Trade Show.
So this, nobody's had that before? You created this, like, idea with the arrow and all that, or?
Like that, yeah.
I think it's the first of its kind on an engine for sure.
We usually have the back of
Did
the
we
truck.
patent it?
You know, we just protect our people from getting hit on the highway,
Okay.
that's all we do.
I think it's
Yeah.
a great idea. They all, you
Yeah, I do
know.
too.
This fire department, when we brought it to the board that we were on the highway so much, we used to do 30, 40 calls on the highway. Then we went to 80.
Mm-hmm.
And we all got together and asked the board, you please invest in traffic incident management system.
That's amazing.
Several of us became instructors, and 3 or 4, Mike, of us, and then became active participants, and then we got together with Ganges, Hamilton, Grasscup, and Saugatuck, and we would buy an Aeroboard trailer that you would see only owned by MDOT. Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
And the board did.
Yeah.
And imagine this, you need compliant cones, our cones were too short. Let's just use compliant cones. All of this has enhanced the level of safety for first responders. Traffic incident management, TIMS, we stay there until the tow truck driver is gone. We don't abandon them. So it's very active. And we park equipment to protect the people working on the scene, including all police, whereas they used to be behind us, upstream. Now we're the barriers. So that's your new income.
Nice.
Okay. Moving on to the Coast Guard Station in Holland is closed.
Just to confirm that they will be responding from Grand Haven. Easter Sunday, we had a call, 2 people in the water, and they responded from Grand Haven. They actually dispatched us, fire department, Elgin County Sheriff's, there was nobody else. So we went and rescued those people.
We got there first.
Where were you?
The Grand Haven can't get down here in
30 minutes.
Yeah.
We actually had the people and the boat back to the dock at Broward Boat Works before the Coast Guard pulled up, so.
Just
yeah.
want to let you know, we'll be inheriting more of a response area.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, been always criticism, well, why do we have fireboats and everything? I'm not gonna explain that anymore, or try to. We have fireboats because we have 22 miles of river and 8 miles of lake shore. Matter of fact, July 14th, Elgin County reached out to one of our lieutenants and asked us to serve with them on a dive training with our big fireboat.
And with that station closed, the 8 miles is probably closer to 14 or more.
Grand
They're
Haven.
not gonna let.
And that's if we have sea conditions that are conducive to a 30-mile transit.
Yeah.
And they've got high-speed boats, but it's an average 30 minutes.
That's pushing it pretty hard.
Okay,
I can't
moving-
believe they did that, actually, you know? Seems kind of dangerous.
Park Township now with them is leaving Holland. Park Township is, I'm working with them to create a marine division. And they're going in, they just raised their millage from .49 mils to 1.5 mils. And part of it is to go with a marine division. So, and they're doing a great job with research. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
How's the new boat coming?
New boat is on hold because they can't get a fire pump. They actually stopped working on it.
Did I ask you, did they take the one off the old boat, put it on?
The old one, no. The old one's a different configuration, it's water cooled, different size. This was an air cooled one that's sitting, so it would be a design change. Plus, the insurance company didn't want us using something that had been submerged. That's why they didn't want to fix it. It runs, they got it going.
Yeah.
Mike wants you to know he's working.
Yeah, that was Mike leaving.
Mike always does.
Ex-Captain, that's...
You trying to be Tom Cruise?
Just let him know you're working. Don't be quiet about things. Anyway, moving on, we don't have any correspondence. Is there any public comment? Please limit your comment to 3 minutes.
Sure, somebody's got to say something. Chris Mannels, I live at 2454 Blue Star, and Deputy Chief of the Fire District. Just want to thank the Fire Board for continuing to approve our budget and give us the tools we need. We do our best to be fiscally responsible as a staff, but you guys always make sure we have the equipment like the new rescue engine out front to do our job. And despite the hiccups at Saugatuck City, we're going to continue to provide the best service possible to the citizens we serve and the board. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Anybody else?
Anybody out there? Greg Janik, 3208 Silver Acres Drive, Saugus Township resident for 28 years. I too am thankful to this board, this body, for approving the budget. You recognize the efforts of people out there, and I have the best staff in Western Michigan, I'll tell you that all day long. And I think we need to support that. There are a lot of reasons they don't even need to be here. And I think this exemplifies their dedication to humanity. And unfortunately, it takes money to do it. And everything has gone up. And I don't like general statements like that. I am very grateful to this board for everything you do for them, because you've invested in our most important asset, our personnel, and we need to continue that. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to fire board comments, Stacy.
No, I just wanna, I know this has been a real stressful time for everyone, and, I just want you to know the township's supporting the fire district, and anything you need, please know that we're here for you, and, we really care, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan? Scott?
I'm good.
Drew?
No?
Okay, I'm tired, tough. Believe it or not. Okay, so I'll call for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, second by Fox. For discussion. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
No? Okay, we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.